everybody, and welcome to the fourth edition of the R Squared podcast here in the summer of 2021. We are enjoying the fact that we have new listeners coming in, asking us some questions and things like that. Uh, July 16th, 2021, we're in the middle of the NBA Finals. The NFL season's upon us, and one of our favorite sports, college football, is upon us. Rahul and I talk all the time, and he is, again, a very passionate Ohio State Buckeyes football fan, and he wanted to kind of discuss a few things tonight, kind of like almost an emergency vlog, have you. So, Rahul, kick it off. There's a lot of controversy these days on the NIL name, image, likeness. Tell us your thoughts behind the new rules explained. Go for it, Rahul.
Um, First, I believe that this should have been done a long time ago. When first college football started getting the billions of dollars of revenue that the conferences and television stations were making off of college football, I think this should have been done then. Um, it took a little too long, but players are allowed to profit off the names, image, and likeness, which I think is a good thing because even though they're saying that they're getting paid for the scholarship, but it's more than that. Schools are. I mean, we're paying hundreds of dollars for football tickets. We're paying $100 for jerseys. We're getting all these things, and the football players are essentially just getting an education, which is nice, but
That's true.
I, I believe they deserve more. Um, I remember at one point, the schools couldn't even give them enough food to eat. They only get their limited amount of food they could give these players, and players are going hungry. And that eventually changed where you can eat as much as you want as long as your campus facilities. So that's an improvement.
Yeah,
But now they actually profit off of they actually make money off of the name, image, and likeness. And Barstool Sports, T-Mobile, and other companies have started signing up players to make money off them, which I believe is great for the college sports. There will be some turbulence to figure stuff out. I mean, there'll be losers and winners, but 5 or 10 years from now, this will be much better. Now the thing is,
awesome.
what's happening now is Reggie Bush is asking to get his Heisman back because of everything he did, and the Ohio State players, part of Tattoo Gate, were asking to reinstate the records and things like that. So I'm gonna start with Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush, he himself would they say he never took money to play football. He never took UC never paid him. Boosters never paid him. The thing is, they believe the allegations that his family got housing and a car to drive while they're at USC from an ex-con.
Oh, was it? Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
and yes, and the thing is the USC got slapped with regulations like their compliance department wasn't big enough and a few other things. And OJ Mayo also, but
Oh, really?
there's no solid evidence. There's no burning evidence saying this is what you did. It was just hearsay and circumstantial in my belief. So I personally believe because of that, Reggie Bush, even if all those things happened, it did not he did not affect his performance on the field. He would have been a Heisman Trophy winner regardless of whether these allegations happened or not because he was that good. And I believe his Heisman should be returned to him because he would have done that USC, Ohio State, Florida, where he's gonna play. He's just that pure athlete. So I believe that Reggie Bush should deserve his Heisman back for his on-field performance. Because Heisman's about all on-field performance, and watching him was like watching art in motion. I mean,
He
just him
was. I
voting
remember that.
players, going back, the Bush push. I mean, everything. It was just so much fun to watch him play. Even though I'm an Ohio State fan, and it's kind of frustrating seeing USC beat Ohio State a few years, but I enjoyed watching him, and 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 I think he should get his Heisman back 100% regardless, because of the NIL and things like even if the NIL wasn't there, I still think he should get his Heisman back. What are your thoughts on that?
So, Raul, let me ask you a question. So, a couple, I can go kind of different ways on this, but did Pete Carroll leave USC because they were put on probation, or did he leave just because he wanted to get back to the NFL?
I think I think I think first of all he got a great offer from Seattle.
Yeah,
Um, Even if you want to leave, if you didn't get getting good offers, and he might have been thinking about these things. The problem is even if USC came out 100% clean of these allegations, it would affect the recruiting just because these allegations going on USC and he knew Pete Carroll knew it'll affect recruiting. So I don't think he was looking to leave USC. He was maybe in back of his mind, but then he got his job offer from Seattle, which he did a phenomenal job at. I live in Washington State, so I hear all about Seattle, and I'm not a Bengals fan. Seattle does a great job of doing what's necessary for the coaches and players in order to put in position to win. Like
yeah,
Russell Wilson complained about offensive line, they went and fixed that problem, and Pete Carroll does not want to rebuild because he's too old.
yeah. Maybe he didn't want to recruit anymore. So let me
Right.
ask you this. I'll give you my opinion.
Okay.
I've been watching college football. I watched it a little bit as a 7, 8 year old, but I'm not going to count that. Your opinion as a 7, 8, 9 year old doesn't count. But let's say from 10, I'm around 40. I'm around that age. So I've been watching college football for the last 30 years. I know you're a little bit biased on your Ohio State. I don't blame you when it comes to basketball, folks. I always think Kentucky's the best. So we'll remove your Ohio State Buckeyes for a second. There's two teams, in my opinion, that stand out above everybody else in the last 30 years, and that they would kick anybody's ass. And the number one is the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, and I think they just had something like 12 first-round draft picks in
Right.
that one year. They had Ed Reed. They were just ridiculous in 2001, and then but I think they truly dominated because player personnel. They just had the best players on the field at one time ever. And then their quarterback kind of messed up the next year, and you guys beat them. But the second best team, at least in my opinion, and they look like a pro team out there. I mean, they sold Southern California, they sold LA on how good they were. Was that 2004 USC team? They just looked unbeatable.
Well, I
And
agree. I
I've
agree.
not seen it. 2021 now. I don't think there's any team since then that could beat that 2004 USC team. Do you think Reggie Bush, and when you look at it, he was a pretty good NFL player. He didn't meet his expectations. Though. His expectation was NFL Hall of Fame. That's how high of a ranking he had.
I
Do you
agree.
think he still would have won the Heisman if he had played at, say, Iowa or Texas A&M or Utah, somewhere a middle of the road program such
Um.
as Michigan? What do you think?
Well.
Do you think he still would have won the Heisman?
No. The reason is because, as you said, the USC team of 2004 and the Miami team were professional teams. I mean, it's the talent around them because you got to worry about the quarterback, the wide receiver, so they couldn't put 8, 9 men in a box to stop Reggie Bush because they had to also cover downfield. So he would be he would still been a Heisman candidate. He would still end up in third or fourth in the voting, but I don't think he would have been a runaway Heisman candidate like he was at USC. Um, it's just, I mean, if you look at all the Heisman winners, what I don't know for how long, but they always been on good teams. They always been winning teams that at least were
That's true.
competing for a national championship, a playoff, and all that
Look at
stuff.
Tebow. Yeah,
Yeah, look at Tebow.
for sure.
Look at Devontae Smith.
Yep, that's true. Baker made the Final Four too.
Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow. Look
So
at all the recent
yeah,
Heisman
Joe
winners.
Burrow won the yeah,
Yeah.
he won the championship. Let me
So
ask you this then. So when we talk about that, um, if they paid a significant amount of money to Reggie Bush's family, what's to say they didn't pay the rest of the team? Because
what
again, we had a pro team going on over there. So did he truly deserve that Heisman if at the current time the rules said you couldn't play, you could not pay for NIL. What do you think?
Um, if there was solid evidence that he got paid, or USC broke the rules, or someone broke the rules which USC had control of, then yes. But 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 there was no solid evidence. It was all hearsay. And sure, there's some here and there, but there's nothing that pegged it on Reggie Bush did something illegal. Um,
Okay. I haven't followed the case as much as you. So you're saying there was no solid, bar none, evidence that all of this occurred. Um, did the NCAA put them on probation after all this?
I believe so. I
Yeah.
can go read up on it,
Yeah.
but
I
they
think
they
that
did
they
come down with
did.
sanctions, but I'm not sure what they were. They
Okay.
um yes. But that said, let's look at I'm a Ohio State fan. Let's look at Tattoo Gate with Terrell Pryor, Jim Tressel, and a few other players, right? If you remember
Let me
that.
ask you one question before you go there.
Sure.
Why did Reggie Bush give it back? If he's innocent and he believed that he didn't do anything wrong, why did he give it back?
I think because he's looking out for his own career after football, because there's so much public pressure, and I believe he's on Fox Sports now, right? But,
Yeah, he
but
does a great job.
yeah, he was Urban Meyer and a few other guys. And the
Yep.
thing is I think if there's a taint of him cheating, and he didn't put it back, I think it would have affected his career after football. I think it would have. Fox Sports might not hire him, or he might not. But people see him. Okay, he made a mistake and he owned up to it, even though he may not make a mistake, but he owned up to it. So so now he has a positive image and positive public opinion. Um, because with
Gotcha.
Twitter, with Facebook, with all the social media, you have to keep a certain image if you're a celebrity, or if you're a sports figure, or you have to. And I think Reggie Bush, even though he didn't want to, his agent or some smart people in his camp or himself say, hey, just give it back, avoid the controversy, so you can go on with your life, because or it would have followed him everywhere he went. You won the Heisman, but you don't deserve it because you cheated or whatever. I think just to clear to clear his name in public. Um, and 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 because the Heisman, there was talk about the Heisman board of trustees um, stripping him of the Heisman if he didn't go back. There was some talk. I'm not sure how far it went, but there was talk, and I think he just preempted any any scandals or any bad image of him.
Yeah, I think you're right, and he's got a really good gig, and he is trying to remain in the positive light. And I was kind of reading that um, he preemptively did give it back before the Heisman committee was going to strip it from him. So, yeah, kind of up in the air. So, I think it's a good fight. Will it actually be generated where he gets the trophy back? I don't know, but we do know that he played there. We do know that they dominated, and we do know that I that was a really a great year of viewing as a college football fan. And since then, I've not seen a running back in college. Um, the NFL is a different story, but in college, dominate like Reggie Bush that did that year. So I
Yeah,
totally think he deserves
yeah,
that trophy back.
I agree. Consistently, yeah, it has consistent. I mean, sure, yeah, yeah. Elliott during those 3 games in play, leading up to the playoffs, yes, and Najee Harris and some other people, but ETN, but off and on for certain games, but nothing as consistent as Reggie Bush did for those years at
Yeah,
USC.
even Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry,
Yep.
they were great, and they're probably better in the NFL, especially
Right.
Derrick Henry. But in college, that 1 year, if anybody wants to get on and look at those videotapes, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, people, and watch Reggie Bush versus Fresno State that 2004 year.
Yeah.
It's like Barry Sanders. Yeah,
Exactly. I
you
mean,
never. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
But go ahead. I know you're the big Buckeye fan. Talk about Tressel and Terrell Pryor and your opinion over there.
Okay, now Terrell Pryor and some other players asked to get their records back and all that stuff and clear names because of NIL. And what happened there was was they exchanged some, I guess, some memorabilia from Ohio State, either some Michigan gold pants or something. There's some,
Hmm.
like, every time Ohio State beats Michigan, they get a pair of gold pants, and there's some gold pants, some
Oh, really?
autograph with the things they 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 exchange for tattoos. And the thing is, and then I believe a lawyer emailed Jim Tressel, say, hey, this is going on. Jim Tressel, yeah, he's like, thank you, whatever, and he ignored it. And finally, since nothing was happened, the lawyer went to the media and there's emails and all that stuff, and they found out that this was happening.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and they originally got suspended for 4 games for the next season, and so did Tressel, but eventually Tressel resigned and Luke Fickle came in, and then Urban Meyer eventually.
Yeah.
So my opinion about this, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I don't think that they should get any of it reinstated because first of all they had something that proved that the players did this,
Yeah.
um, and second of all is is Tressel should have if Tressel went and did actually got the email, went and took care of the situation by doing whatever, then yes, they should get everything reinstated. But he sat on it too. So I don't. I think Ohio State should not get those wins or get anything reinstated because it was basically, in my opinion, is from the top down. Prue Tressel knew it, and Tressel did nothing, and and this bowl sanctions should stay and all that stuff, and a loss record taken away should stay taken away from Ohio State, which I don't agree with taking away wins and losses because it's just because it's not up to one coach or one player. It's the whole team that wins or loses the,
It's true.
the game. But in my opinion, they should not give anything back to Ohio State just because there's some there was a there, there was a there was there was something they showed that they did something wrong, and people could point to it. So I
Yeah,
personally,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a track record, there's a trail, there's a cookie trail, and I think people did admit to it. I did like Jim Tressel as a non-Ohio State fan. I liked his style. I liked his little Midwest conservative roots. He stuck to doing the right things until
right,
this happened.
right,
So, but one kind of difference between Ohio State and USC, and maybe Ohio State's kind of was multiple people, and it was only proven with USC to be one person, the biggest
right,
star on the team. But with Ohio State, they made the right decision with their next coach, and that next coach got them to a national championship. Maybe what was it, 3 or 4 years later, and
right,
uh, and then right now, if you have 4 or 5 teams that are dominating college football, one of them is always Ohio State.
mm-hmm.
USC, kind of in the 90s, was they have a great history from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. In the 90s, they're pretty mediocre. And
Right,
Pete Carroll came in, and for 4 or 5 years, they lit the world on fire. And again, I still think today that's the best team in the last 17 years. But
I agree.
what are they doing now? They haven't done too much in the last 15, 16 years. Um, I think they did make the Rose Bowl. I think they won it actually a couple years ago, but they're not been in the Final Four, and they're not
Right,
on the same level as Ohio State. So Ohio State bounced back, and USC did not.
right.
So totally agree with you.
And USC is a private school, while Ohio State is a public school, so that makes a difference too. So uh, let me tell you a quick story about Jim Tressel. If um, Our best friends out here, um, he actually played for Jim Tressel at Youngstown State, and he said he
Okay.
was a phenomenal coach, but even better person. We played for 2 years.
Okay.
Then he went to Ohio. Then he got hired by Ohio State. The funny thing is he is a they are all Michigan fans too. They're hardcore
Okay.
Michigan fans, So, but he has respect for Tressel, and he's sad for what happened. But he said while before that happened, he was a phenomenal coach, and he was he was a phenomenal coach. He never shouted, never screamed. All his players always talked to him like with respect and as adults, which a lot of coaches don't. Um, and I mean,
It worked.
he,
They had a
he, did,
championship.
he did the one thing
Maurice
John
Claret.
Cooper, the one thing John Cooper could not do. He beat Michigan. I mean, John
Yeah. Well,
Cooper,
Michigan can't. Michigan hasn't been able to beat you guys in what? Have
right?
they beat? Have they even beaten you guys in the last 20 years? I mean, I have to
Yes,
look up the record.
they beat
Maybe
him.
one time.
They beat him when after Tressel resigned, and that 1 year Luke Fickle was in charge. They beat him at the end of the season. Yeah, that
Okay.
was the last time for Urban
Yeah.
Meyer took over in 2012. But
Okay.
yeah, but if you remember Cooper, I mean, if you look at Cooper's stats, he's a Hall of Fame coach, but he never beat. He only won 2 games against Michigan, and that's why he had to go because he did not take that game seriously at all.
Yeah.
So and then Tressel, I think he only had one loss to Michigan, I believe, or one or two. I gotta
I
look up the
have
records.
to look it up, but I
Yeah,
think Tressel. Yeah, Tressel might have had one, but Urban
yeah,
Meyer did not.
yep.
And
Ryan Day,
Ohio State's totally dominating them. Ryan Day is just crushing it right now. So
yeah. I mean, because if you watch the documentary, they take that game very seriously. I mean, there's a countdown clock saying how much till the next game. They actually have a Michigan drills every. I think after every practice, they spend so much plays or minutes on Michigan, and you can wear blue, can even say the word Michigan. I mean, they take it to the nth degree, and I think that's what recruits like, and that's what is hammered into them every day, every single day is a rivalry. And Michigan rumors apparently starting to take it more seriously, but under Harbaugh, I'm not sure how seriously they take the rivalry. After Lloyd
yeah,
Carr,
they probably take it seriously, but I think there's a big difference between Columbus, Ohio, and Ann Arbor, Michigan. Just being going to both places and seeing the atmosphere. Obviously, Michigan can easily fill that 100,000 person stadium in that big house, but I don't know. So any people in Michigan here, you might be listening to this, but I just don't think it's. I just don't think your state cares as much as we do here in Ohio
what?
anymore. I just think it might be something from the '90s. I
No, but
think
if you look at the
you
overall,
guys admitted that Ohio is just better.
well, no, if you look at the record, Michigan still has a lead on overall wins over Ohio State. So I mean, they dominated Ohio State for a very long time,
I mean, from
and
the 1930s and 40s, but I mean,
yeah,
a lot of times you have to put that to rest. In the modern era, it's
yeah,
the '90s was Michigan for sure, especially with uh, Howard and Charles Woodson
oh
and
yeah,
things like that. 1997 championship.
and
But other than that, it's
Tim Bayaka,
been
but
all Buckeyes.
Tuca.
So Tim Biakabatuka, yes.
Yep. I remember. I mean, Ohio State was getting an undefeated season that night and that year, and he just ran all over. I was at Ohio State, and I mean, the three years I was there, Ohio State lost all 3 games to Michigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
So
now you're winning all the time. So,
and
well, good deal, Rahul. Well, it's good to see your interest there in the NIL. I am too. Looks like you've got the background and the knowledge on it. Let's just see what happens here in the next few months. Both major college sports uh, are off right now. There's always the off season, and they
right,
say that these sports never are off, but they're not playing right now. But I think you're
right,
going to see more of it. You're going to see more talk about it um, here in the fall. And I'm already seeing they're saying that some of the college stars are already getting some endorsements. Spencer Rattler out of Oklahoma is already getting, I think, some like cheeseburger deals and things like that.
right.
He right now, just remember this. I'll post it again when it happens. But what is it? July 16th. I'm going to put it down. My pick for the Heisman already is Spencer Rattler out of Oklahoma, but he's already got some endorsements and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Yeah, good talks about the past with Reggie Bush, USC, very dominant team, and Ohio State versus Michigan. But until next time, folks, we will be we'll be talking about the NBA Finals. If you can, check out our blog. We're at benchdraft.com, and we just put out this is a fun little article, top 10 point guards of all time. You guys can kind of uh, tweet back to us, see what you think. I'll put a little disclaimer out there that some of your picks might not be in my top 10. There's also a very accomplished point guard that's not even in my notables, and you guys can argue about that till the sun comes up. But
Yeah.
I've I have Chris Paul rising, and let's see what happens here in the NBA Finals, and we'll have another vlog here soon. Rahul, any final thoughts on what we discussed today?
Back to Rattler being your Heisman pick. This is
Yeah,
interesting. Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama are all breaking new quarterbacks.
yeah, okay.
So you have the three teams from last year's college football playoffs breaking a new quarterback. So will that mean what will what will that show? I mean, will Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson still be in the top five or top 10 coming in the year because they're breaking new quarterbacks, or will another team have a chance to jump up and 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 make argument for the college football playoffs?
Well, we were ending the vlog, but I'm going to keep talking about this. This is a good topic, real quick. So we talked about this a couple of vlogs ago about how the domination of Alabama and Ohio State and Clemson, and you're going to see it this year because their bench and the people that pick out of high school are going to be playing, and there are going to be some names that you're not going to recognize. Guess what, folks? You're still going to see Alabama there in the Final Four. You're still
Yeah.
going to see Clemson there in the Final Four. I just think that Spencer Rattler was already really he was awesome, and I think he was a little underrated last year.
Mhm.
And he's already got a year of underneath his belt. He's going to absolutely dominate, and this might be the time for Lincoln Riley to finally get that championship.
Right.
When you talk about NFL coaches and the next NFL coach, they keep asking and talking about Lincoln Riley. I think Lincoln Riley desperately wants to get that NCAA championship. He thinks he deserves it. He's he's mentioned in the top 3, 4, 5, 6 coaches, and I think Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma Sooners. This is my pick. It's pretty early. Um, I'm going to go with your Buckeyes, but I think the Buckeyes will dominate like they usually do. I think you're going to have an Oklahoma and either Clemson or Oklahoma Alabama final, and it could be the first time in 21 years that Oklahoma wins it. And I am counting on Spencer Rattler being the Heisman winner this year, fall of 2021.
And here's a wild card for playoffs, which might happen is Oregon. Oregon might be the fourth team in this year because if they only if they either beat Ohio State or play Ohio State close and lose, and that they're only lost and Ohio State goes undefeated, you never know.
And they play each other in the regular season.
Yeah, the second game of the season, Oregon Oregon was supposed to play Ohio State last year in Oregon, but with COVID, everything got screwed up. And that's the thing. Last year you can say what you want, but I almost threw out last year because of COVID because either a lot of teams didn't play each other or didn't have full seasons or whatever. So
So it's going to be in the shoe.
yes, you made the horseshoe. Yes.
All right. So when we get off this vlog, we're going to be talking about that game and how we can go to it. So that's probably going to happen.
Yep.
I was not aware of that. I'll look that up.
Yep.
So very cool. Well,
All right.
for all of our subscribers and people following us on Twitter, please comment on our new vlogs and that game that we keep talking about. It's going to be out, and you guys are going to love it. But
Yep.
we're still in development. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Till our next vlog, R Squared Podcast, July 16th, 2021. Spencer Rattler for Heisman. Signing off.
Sounds good. Thanks, Robbie.
Bye bye.